Good day, everyone. Today, we'll be talking about the ancient history and culture of the ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt was one of the world's oldest and most powerful civilization, established over 5,000 years ago along the Nile River in the northeastern Africa. Egypt was known for its great achievements in art, architecture, writing, and religion, including the building of pyramids, the development of hieroglyphics, and the worship of many gods and goddesses. Ancient Egypt civilization was established over 5,000 years ago. That time of the year marked the beginning of the Pharaohic era, one of the world's oldest civilization. Egypt civilization became one of history's most powerful and influential ancient cultures. The Pharaohic era, ruled by the pharaohs from the unification of Egypt, when Egypt became a Roman province. This era lasted for almost 3,000 years, making it the longest civilization in history. The pharaohs ruled the earth as gods. That's why the ancient Egypt has a strong religious belief. They built pyramids, temples, tombs, and developed hieroglyphics writings about their gods. Egypt was called the gift of the Nile by Herodotus. The Nile River flows through the middle of Egypt, and every month of July the Nile flooded, leaving behind rich soil which is ideal for planting crops. The Egyptian economy is one of the largest in the area. The largest sectors are natural resources, agriculture, tourism, architecture, and industry. Egypt's agriculture depends on the Nile's irrigation. It mainly focuses on crops that grow along the Nile River, where the soil is fertile and water is available. Because most of Egypt's desert, almost all farming happens in the Nile Valley and Delta. Egypt's industry focuses on textile, petroleum, construction, and food processing, supporting its country's economy. Egypt's tourism is a major source of income. Tourism centers on its ancient monuments like the pyramids and temples and its Red Sea resorts. It is a major source of income for the country. The Egyptian architecture led them to build massive temples, tombs, and monuments out of stone to honor their gods and pharaohs. Their buildings were designed to last forever and reflect the belief in the afterlife. An example of their great architecture is the Great Pyramid of Giza, built for the pharaoh named Khufu. It is the largest and one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Building the pyramid showed Egypt's advanced engineering, mathematics, and organization. The ancient Egyptians spoke the Egyptian language, which is one of the world's oldest written languages. It was written in hieroglyphics, which is a system picture, symbols used on templates, temples, tombs, and monuments. Egyptians are commonly known for being polytheistic, meaning they believe in many gods, which describes the religion of ancient Egypt. Due to the Egyptians' beliefs about the afterlife, there are steps of obtaining eternal life in the afterlife, where their body has to be preserved or mummified, and their soul must go through a journey through the underworld. Lastly, the soul's heart must be weighted against the feather of Ma'a by the god named Anubis. If their heart is lighter or equal in the weight of the feather, the soul is deemed pure and now can live in eternal afterlife. But if not, their heart will be devoured by Amet, which is the eater of the souls, and the soul shall cease to exist. Egyptians built huge temples to honor their gods, believing this keeps their land protected in harmony. Temples were seen as home of the gods on earth, where priests performed rituals, prayers, and offerings to keep the gods happy and maintain balance. The pyramids were built as tombs where the pharaohs are buried after their funerals. After the pharaohs gets mummified and placed inside the pyramid, it was built as a final resting place for the pharaohs and their wealth. Inside of the pyramid is where the priests often perform ritual and offerings to honor the deceased pharaoh.
Now let's move on to ancient Egypt agriculture. Ancient Egyptian farming was the backbone of their civilization and economy. It relied heavily on the river Nile, which flooded every year and left behind rich black soil called Egpyt, which is ideal for growing crops. Farmers developed advanced irrigation systems and farming techniques, making Egypt one of the most productive agricultural regions of the ancient world. The abundance of food supported population growth and the rise of powerful kingdoms. Who were the farmers in ancient Egypt? Most farmers were peasants who worked on land owned by pharaoh, nobles, or temples. In exchange, they paid taxes or gave a portion of their harvest. During the flood season, when fields were underwater, these farmers also worked on large construction projects such as pyramids and temples. Farming was a communal effort, and everyone in the village helped, including family members. What crops did the Egyptian farmers grow? Egyptian farmers grew a variety of crops, mainly wheat and barley, which were used to make bread and beer, the staple foods of Egypt. They also planted flax for making linen clothes, and grew vegetables such as onions, leeks, beans, cucumbers, and lettuce. Fruits like dates, figs, pomegranates, melons, and grapes were also cultivated. The fertility of the Nile Valley allowed for a rich and diverse harvest. Where did the farmers grow their crops? Farmers grew their crops along the banks of the river Nile, where yearly floods left behind nutrient-rich soil. This fertile land was called the Black Land or Kemet, in contrast to the surrounding desert known as the Red Land. The Black Land stretched in a narrow strip along the Nile and provided the only arable soil suitable for cultivation in Egypt's otherwise desert landscape. How many seasons are there in ancient Egypt? Ancient Egyptians' solar calendar had 365 days in a year, which is divided into 12 months, each with 30 days. After those 360 days, they added 5 extra days called epagomenal days to honor the gods' birthdays, which were not part of any month. In a year, there is 3 seasons, which is Akhet, Peret, and Shemu. Akhet, the flooding season, where farming is paused. Instead, they work for their pharaoh on building pyramids or temples. They also fix their tools and take care of the animals during this season. Tot is the first month, which marks the start of the flood and New Year. Faufi is the second month, when the Nile River's water rises the highest. Athir, the third month, where fields remain flooded. And Koyak is the last month, where water begins to recede. Peret, the growing season. The floodwaters from the flooding season recedes or lessens, and fields were plowed and planted. Taibi, the first month, where land dries and the planting begins. Mekir is the second month, where crops start to sprout. Famenut is the third month, where fields are tended and watered. Farmati is the last month, where crops grow and ripen. Shemu, the harvesting season. Crops were gathered, and also it's the time to repair canals for the next flood. Pekans is the first month, where the first harvest begins. Peini is the second month, where the main harvest begins. Epiphi is the third month, where they collect and store their crops. Methor is the last month, where the harvest ends and they prepare for the next flood. This seasonal cycle ensured a steady rhythm of planting and harvesting that sustained Egypt for thousands of years. What farming tools did ancient Egyptian farmers use? They used simple yet effective tools, made mostly of wood, stone, and copper. This included hoes, rakes, plows, flint-bladed sickles, and winnowing scoops. The ox-drawn plow was one of their most important inventions, allowing farmers to cultivate larger areas of land more efficiently. How did they lift water from canals onto the land? To water their fields, Egyptian farmers used a device called shaduf. It consisted a long wooden pole balanced on a crossbeam, with a bucket on one end and a counterweight on the other. By pulling the rope, farmers could lower the bucket into a canal, lift it easily, and pour water onto the higher ground. This early irrigation invention made farming possible even when the Nile's floodwaters receded. What animals did the Egyptian farmers had and used? Animals played a vital role in Egyptian agriculture. Farmers raised cattle, goats, sheep, pigs, ducks, and geese for food, milk, and leather. Oxen were used to pull plows, while donkeys carried goods. Animals also helped with trampling seeds into the soil after planting. They were an essential part of the farming system, providing both labor and nourishment.
In ancient Egypt, healing was not only based on prayers and magic, but also on the use of herbs and natural remedies. Egyptians believed that nature provided cures for almost every illness, so they carefully studied plants, minerals, and animal products to create medicines that could treat wounds, infections, stomach problems, and even toothaches. These remedies were often written on the papyrus scrolls and used by doctors and priests in their treatments. On the screen, we can see the list of some herbs and natural remedies that were commonly used in ancient Egypt and their specific purposes on healing. First is garlic. Garlic is used to boost strength, treat infections, and aid for digestion and breathing problems. Second is honey. Honey is used to heal wounds, burns, and prevent infections. Third is aloe vera. Aloe vera is used in treating skin problems, burns, and rashes. Fourth is frankincense. Frankincense is used in healing wounds, reducing inflammations, and cleansing the air. It helps with respiratory issues, joint pain, and skin infections. Fifth is myrrh. Myrrh is used in treating sore throats, gum disease, and wounds. It worked as an antiseptic and pain reliever. Sixth is cumin. Cumin is used for digestions and stomach pains. It helps with gas, indigestions, and nausea. Seventh is juniper berries. Juniper berries is used in treating stomach and urinary problems. It acted as a natural diuretic, meaning it helped remove waste through urine. Eighth is castor oil. Castor oil is used for stomach pain, constipation, and as a laxative. It helps remove waste and clean wounds. Ninth is coriander. Coriander is used for calming the stomach and reducing fever. It also treated indigestion and urinary infections. 10th is willow leaves. Willow leaves are used for pain relief and inflammation. It contains salicylic acid, the same ingredient used in modern aspirin. 11th is pomegranate. Pomegranate is used to fight intestinal worms and stomach diseases. The bark and the rind of it were used to treat parasites. 12th is henna. Henna is used for skin care, cooling the body and healing the wounds. It is also used to treat infections, rashes, and burns. 13th is fenugreek. Fenugreek is used for fever, stomach problems, and help mothers to produce milk. 14th is mint. Mint is used to help digestion and give a fresh taste. 15 is opium. Opium poppy is used to liver and sleep aid and anti-severe pain. 16th is barley and wheat. Barley and wheat is used in making porridge used in stomach and skin treatments. It helps with upset stomachs and give nutrition to weak patients. 17th is dates and figs. Dates and figs is used as food and medicine for energy and digestion. It helps to ease constipation and provide strength. 18th is lotus flower. Lotus flower is a symbol of purity and medicine for relaxation. It is used to calm the body and mind. In ancient Egypt, people believed that health, sickness, and healing were all controlled by the gods and goddesses. They thought that when someone became ill, it was often because the gods were angry or because evil spirits had entered the body. To stay healthy, Egyptians prayed, performed rituals, and made offering to please these divine beings. Medicine in ancient Egypt was a blend of religion and science. Doctors, who were often also priests, believed that healing came not only from herbs and treatments, but also from the spiritual power of the gods. Several gods and goddesses were believed to protect the sick, provide cures, and give wisdom to healers. Among the most important were Sekhmet. Sekhmet is the god of war and plague and healing. Sekhmet was one of the most powerful goddesses in Egypt. She was depicted as a lion-headed woman wearing a red dress and was known for both destroyer and the healer. Egyptians believed that when Sekhmet was angry, she brought plagues and sickness to punish humans. However, when she was calm and pleased with the prayers or offerings, she could cure illness and protect people from diseases. Many doctors were also priests of Sekhmet and served her in temple hospitals. Thoth, the god of wisdom and writing, often shown as a man with the head of an ibis or a baboon. He was believed to be the inventor of writing and teacher of the medicine and healing arts. Egyptian doctors and scribes prayed to Thoth before performing medical treatments, asking for wisdom, accuracy, and understanding of the human body. He recorded the names of the gods who could heal and help people gain knowledge of herbs and remedies. In ancient Egypt, doctors were very respected. They practiced one of the world's earliest forms of medicine, mixing science and religion and magic to heal people. Just like today, Egyptian doctors had ranks and specialties. The highest one was the Sunur, followed by Sun Emperor, Sunu, Irisunu, Hemneter Sunu, or Sau. Sunur. Sunur was like the head doctor of the Egypt. They were entrusted by the pharaoh himself and were in charge of the other physicians. They supervised medical work, trained students, and kept medical records. Sunu Emperor. These doctors were next is Sunu. Sunu were the main doctors of the ordinary Egyptians. They could perform minor surgeries, make herbal medicines, and diagnose common illnesses. Some focused on specific areas like eyes or stomach problems. Next is Irisunu, or the keeper of the teeth. Egyptians had many dental problems because their bread had sand and grate in it. Dentists like Irisunu helped relieve pain and treated infections, making them early examples of dental care. Hemnet or Suni. These doctors were both priests and healers. They treated the spiritual side of sickness using prayers, rituals, and spells, along with natural medicine. Healing was seen as a gift from the gods. And lastly, Sau. Sau healers used magic instead of medicine. They believed that some diseases were caused by curses or bad spirits, so they used spells and protective charms to heal and keep people safe. Surgery in ancient Egypt was a well-developed and important part of their medical practice. Egyptians understood the human body through experience, observations, and daily healing needs. Although their surgical skills were limited to the outer part of the body, their knowledge and care methods were impressive for the time. Most of the Egyptian surgeries were simple or surface-level procedures, done on the skin or near it. This included stitching wounds, they could close deep cuts or gashes using linen thread and fine needles made from bronze and copper. Fixing broken bones and joints. Egyptians knew how to realign broken bones and set them using wooden or reed plates wrapped in linen, draining abscesses and boils. They carefully opened swollen or infected areas to remove the pus and prevent infection. Moving growths or swellings. Small lumps or tumors on the skin were sometimes cut out when necessary. Ancient Egyptian surgeons used various basic tools made mostly of bronze and copper. Archaeologists have found items such as scalpels for cutting, tweezers and forceps for gripping and removing objects, probes for examining wounds, and needles for stitching skin. While Egyptian surgery was advanced for its time, it had certain limitations. They did not perform operations deep inside the body. This was mainly because they had no anesthetics. There was no safe way to numb pain or make a person unconscious during surgery. Two is they lacked antiseptics. Deep wounds could easily get infected since they had no way to fully sterilize tools. Third is the religious belief. The human body was sacred, and cutting too deeply into it was seen as dangerous or disrespectful. In ancient Egypt, numbers were written using unique symbols called hieroglyphs. The Egyptians developed decimal system based on the power of 10, just like the one we use today. However, instead of digits, they use special drawings or symbols to represent values. For example, the number 1. Number 1 is shown by a single stroke. 10 is a drawing of a kettle hobel. 100 is represented by a coil of rope. 1,000 is a lotus plant. 10,000 is shown by a finger. 100,000 is drawn as a tadpole or crab. And 1,000,000 is represented by a figure of a god with raised arms. This system was mainly used for recording trade, land measurement, and taxes, showing how advanced their civilization was in mathematics and writing. Yung mga ancient Egyptian, kapag nagsusulat sila ng numbers, inuuna nila yung mas mataas yung value, followed by the smaller value. For example, dito, ang value nito is 323. Tapos, edi nauna na yung yung coil of rope kasi mas mataas siya kaysa dun sa kettle hobble tapos dun sa one stroke. Tapos, since 300 siya, since wala tayong specific na number for 300, ang gagawin lang natin is, ulit-ulitin lang natin yung 100. Ulitin natin siya into 3 times. So, 1, 2, 3 is 300. Same with the kettle hobble, 1, 2, 10, 20. Tapos, tatlong strokes. So, we have 323. Kung kasunod naman, we have 4 kettle hobbles. So, 1, 2, 3, 4 is 40. Tapos, 2 strokes is equals to 42. Next is, meron din tayong coil of rope dito. Tapos, meron tayong, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strokes. So, we have 106. So, ito naman. So, ano na to? Medyo mataas na yung value niya. So, pag ito ay 10,000. Tapos, followed by 1,000, 11,000, 110. Tapos, 2 strokes, 11,112.
Let's talk about sickle. Sickle is a curved blade used for cutting and harvesting grains such as wheat and barley. Ito ay isa sa pinakamalagang kasangkapan sa mga sinaunang Egyptian dahil ito ay ginagamit nila sa pag-ani ng mga butil tulad ng trigo at sibada na siyang pangunahing pinagkukunan ng kanilang pagkain at kabuhayan. Ang mga sinaunang Egyptian ay kilala sa kanilang mahusay na sistema ng irigasyon na siyang dahilan kung bakit umunlad ang kanilang agrikultura sa gitna ng disyerto ng kapaligiran. Ang ilog Nile ang nagsilbing pinakamahalagang pinagkukunan ng tubig para sa kanilang mga panananim. Ang shadow ay isa sa kasangkapang ginagamit sa pag-igib at paglipat ng tubig mula sa ilog Nile papunta sa mabukirin at irigasyon. Ito ay isa sa pinakamahalagang imbensyon ng mga sinaunang Egyptian sa larangan ng pagsasaka at irigasyon. Ang shadow ay nagpabilis at nagpadali sa pagdaloy ng tubig sa mga taniman. Kaya naging efficient ang irigasyon dahil dito nakapagtanim at nakapag-ani ang mga Egyptian kahit sa mga panahong tuyo at walang baha mula sa ilog Nile. Mga sinaunang Egyptian ay kabilang sa mga sinaunang sibilisasyon na gumamit sa kasangkapang pang-opera o surgical instrument. Ipinapakita ng mga ebidensya sa mga libingan, moral at sinaunang papyrus na mayroon silang kaalaman sa paggamot at operasyon libu-libong taon na ang nakakalipas. Gumagamit sila ng iba't ibang metal na kasangkapan, karaniwang gawa sa tanso o bronze. Scalpel, maliit na tali na kutsilyo para sa panghiwa ng balat o laman. Forceps, ginagamit sa paghawak o pag-alis na maliliit na bagay sa loob ng sugat. Hooks at probes, ginagamit sa pag-angat ng balat sa pagsuri ng loob ng katawan. Needle para sa pagtahi ng sugat at cautery tool sa pagsunog o panlapat ng init upang mapatigil ang pagdurog. Bakit nga ba ang mga ancient Egyptian ay gumagamit ng wig? First, hygiene and comfort. Dahil nga sa sobrang init sa Egypt, ang wig ang naging protection nila from the sun na nagbibigay sa kanila ng cleaner and cooler than the natural hair. Second, status and fashion. Wigs are also a symbol of their status and fashion. Human hair is one of the material of wigs. Ito yung consider nilang finest wig worn by royalty and nobles. Then, they also use plant fiber and wools. This is the lower quality of wigs used by lower people in society. Third, religious and symbolic meaning. Priests often shaved their heads for purity but wore wig during ceremonies. Ang cosmetic makeup ay may malaking papel sa kultura ng mga sinaunang Egyptian, hindi lamang para sa kagandahan, kundi pati na rin sa kalinisan, kalusugan at relihiyosong paniniwala na ginagamit ng mga lalaki at babae, lalo na ng mga maharlika, pari bilang bahagi ng pang-araw-araw na pag-aayos at ritual. Gumagamit ang mga Egyptian ng iba't ibang uri ng natural na sangkap bilang makeup. Una, kohl. Itim na pulbos mula sa galena o suot, ginagamit sa paligid ng mga mata upang proteksyonan laban sa araw at alikabok at para na rin sa proteksyon laban sa masamang espiritu. Pangalawa, malakite, gawa sa dinurog na berdeng mineral, ginagamit upang patingkarin ang mata. Pangatlo, pulang okra o henna, ginagamit bilang pampapula ng pisngi at labi at pangkulay sa mga kuko at buhok. At last, langis at pabango, ginagamit upang panatiling malambot at ang balat at maiwasan ang sobrang init ng araw sa disyerto. Ang mga sinaunang Egyptian ay tinuturing sa unang gumawa ng toothpaste sa kasaysayan. Libu-libong taon bago may bentong modernong toothpaste, mayroon na silang sariling paraan sa paglinis ng ngipin gamit ang natural na sangkap. Gumagawa sila ng toothpaste gamit ang tuyong sangkap na dinudurog at hinahalo sa tubig para maging paste o pulbos. Kabilang mga karaniwang sangkap ang abong sinusunog ng buto, pinupulbos na itlog ng ostrich, abong uling, mirasol, bato o asin. Ang toothpaste ng mga sinaunang Egyptian ay patunay sa kanilang mahalagang kaalaman sa pagpapahalaga ng Ang papyrus ay isa sa pinakamahalagang imbensyon ng mga sinaunang Egyptian dahil ito ang unang uri ng papel na ginamit sa kasaysayan. Ginawa ito mula sa halamang papyrus at tumutubo sa mga pampang ng ilog Nile. Ang papyrus ay ginamit ng mga Egyptian para sa pagsulat ng mga dokumento, kontrata at batas, pag-iingat ng mga aklat at record gaya ng mga tala ng buwis at kalakalan, pagsulat ng mga relihiyosong teksto gaya ng Book of the Dead. Ang mummification ay ang proseso ng pagreserba ng katawan ng mga yumao upang hindi ito mabulok. Ito ay isa sa pinakamahalagang ritual ng mga relihiyon ng mga sinaunang Egyptian dahil naniniwala sila na magpapatuloy ang buhay sa kabilang daigdig kung maayos na mapapangalagaan ang katawan ng namatay. Naniniwala ang mga Egyptian na mayroong o espiritu ng buhay at ba o kaluluwa ang bawat tao. Upang makabalik At makapag-isa, ang mga ito sa kabilang buhay kailangang manatiling buo ang katawan, kaya nila ginagawa ang mummification. Ang mummification ay simbolo ng pananampalataya at respeto ng mga Egyptian sa kanilang mga Diyos at sa buhay pagkatapos ng kamatayan.